The Cowboys have made a sneaky signing, getting a former third-round cornerback. We tell you in today's video who this cornerback is and why it is such a big move for the Cowboys ahead of their final preseason game. Welcome into Cowboys Digest, everybody. I'm Jace Andrews. We're happy you chose to join us here today. Want to make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's 100% free, and almost 80% of you who watch these videos are not yet subscribed. What are you waiting for? The season is around the corner, and we don't want you to miss anything. So hit that subscribe button so we can keep you in the loop on all things Dallas Cowboys. Let's go to the tweet from Tom Pelissero, who had it first, saying veteran cornerback Michael Ojemudia, who most recently played in the UFL's DC Defenders, is signing with the Cowboys. Per source, he is back in the NFL. Now, a lot of things to break down with this signing. The first is the cornerback room, and we have to go look at the depth chart on the defensive side of the ball, because in the cornerback room, there is a lot of injuries that have been, well, not yet fully resolved. Trevon Diggs is still technically on the PUP list and is kind of at this point being projected to not make it out of that way and will have to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. Trevon Revel Jr., there's still no word on what the expectation is for him and whether he'll be available for week 1. And so the cornerback room is, I'm not going to say thin, because Kaiir Elam is going to be in a good spot. I do like Deron Bland, of course, but I am more interested in Kalen Carson and what the ability is behind him, and this signing kind of tells us a little bit of maybe the confidence the Cowboys have in the cornerback room. We start with an article from Blogging with the Boys, Jess Haney, saying, quote, fresh off a stint with the DC Defenders of the United Football League, cornerback Michael Ojemudia is now a Dallas Cowboy. A former third-round pick by the Denver Broncos, Ojemudia joins Dallas a few days out from their final 2025 preseason game. Now, the question everybody asking is, why exactly is this a sneaky move? Maybe he's just a body to have in that final preseason game. The bigger thing to me, though, is the stats that he had in his first couple years in the NFL before being kind of, I'm going to say, banished to the UFL. In fact, in his rookie season, in a third-round pick out of Iowa, the Broncos used him very heavily. He had 4 forced fumbles, one a very good amount of pass breakups and all that stuff. So he was a good cornerback. Obviously, 62 total tackles is something that, you see from a rookie cornerback and think, oh, that's pretty good. Then it kind of took a turn, had some injuries pop up. Obviously, the Cowboys kind of went for a more of a cornerback depth role, drafting Patrick Surtain in the next season. So it was a bit of a rough road, both in the depth chart and injury-wise for Ojemudia. And that's kind of where we go here with the article on Blogging with the Boys, kind of giving you a little bit of a backstory on why Ojemudia maybe is where he is today rather than in the NFL right now. The Broncos drafted Ojemudia 77th overall in 2020. He started 11 games and played in all 16, showing well for a rookie, especially with his 4 forced fumbles. But Denver loaded up on cornerback talent the following year, signing 2 veteran free agents and drafting Patrick Surtain II in the first round. Ojemudia was slated to be on the depth chart, but got injured during the preseason and missed nearly the entire year. The same occurred in 2022, and he was waived late into the season. So the injuries really did hurt him. Obviously, he was on the depth chart, but it's definitely a blow to your confidence when you feel like you had a very good rookie season, and then immediately they sign 2 guys at your position at the veteran aspect and also draft one of the top cornerbacks that we've seen out of college in a very long time. So what exactly is the hope for Ojemudia? Well, a couple of interesting stats that I think are important to note. First, John Owing here wants to get his report. The veteran help everyone has been waiting for, ... He allowed a 53.1 completion rate at 1 touchdown in 10 games in the UFL. He also notched 2 forced incompletions, 4 coverage stops, and 1 interception per PFF. So the completion rate is not terrible. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible. But I think the play on words here for John Owing is, it's not Stephon Diggs. It's not Asante Samuel Jr., but it's a guy who is cheap and could have a lot of value in the next coming days. And I think his report is interesting, of course, obviously getting the stats in there, but there's a little bit more that I think needs to be said. Jess Navarez here, I hope I got that name right. She had this on X, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Talking to multiple sources that worked with cornerback Michael Ojemudia, the UFL this season, they tell me that Ojemudia worked with Matt Eberflus during his time in Chicago, so there will be some familiarity there. So, okay, Matt Eberflus, defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Ojemudia had been on practice squads, and the Bears were one of those, and so he was with Matt Eberflus during that time. One source described Ojemudia as a physical player and a producer, adding that his height, length, speed, and athleticism is what the Pete Carroll and Bill Belichick trees were always searching for, which is true. If you look at the body and build of Ojemudia, he fits like the cornerback, especially coming out of Iowa. A lot of good Iowa cornerbacks, tight ends, and linemen are kind of what they're known for, and so Ojemudia, had a very good college career, which obviously led to him getting a third-round selection, and his body type, very perfect for what a cornerback you'd like. Another source said he has great instincts and athletic ability that will be a good fit for the Cowboys. Ojemudia wasn't the starting cornerback throughout the season because of a stacked roster, but never complained or changed his work ethic. He stepped up for the DC Defenders in the playoffs, and it was noticed by the coaching staff. Both sources made it clear that they think Ojemudia belonged on an NFL roster. Okay, so obviously, the UFL coaches have a different viewpoint than NFL GMs, NFL coaches, and the way they are doing it in the UFL is very different because in some ways it's a minor league setup. That's really what the UFL is becoming to this point. And with the Cowboys, you're talking about bang for your buck, and in some ways, you are going into your last preseason game. You may or may not have Trevon Diggs coming up in week 1. You may or may not have Siobhan Revel Jr. in week 1 of the NFL. So what's to say that maybe this is a very good sneaky signing, could potentially lead into something, but it also could be of the mindset for the Dallas Cowboys that this is just another body out there, that they don't want to risk anybody else getting injured. And for Ojemudia, he's going to have to go out there and really kind of produce to maybe even get himself into the position. So obviously, a couple of different things to look at, but the cornerback room is definitely one where there's a couple of different guys that could come in and take some spots. I really have been liking the play of Zion Childress out of Kentucky. He played in this last preseason game and had the most tackles, really looked the most fit out there, played a lot. Obviously, when you're trying to get into a position of the roster, you're going to play a decent amount. Then you also have Deron Bland, Kaiir Elam, Kalen Carson. I really expect a lot from him. Andrew Booth, Kevin Hall, and Israel Mukamu, But the big overarching theme is that Trevon Diggs seems like he will not be ready for week 1. And same can be said for Siobhan Revel Jr. As you just saw from that projected 53-man depth chart, it seems as though that we will not be having those two right away. So in that instance, that's a way for Ojemudia to get in on this roster. We continue on in the report from Blogging with the Boys where they say, quote, still, if those injured cornerbacks, the ones I just mentioned, aren't going to be ready for week 1, there's an opportunity for Ojemudia to at least compete for a temp job. Beyond Deron Bland, Kaiir Elam, and probably Israel Mukamu, the rest of the cornerback depth chart feels up for grabs. Continues on to say, quote, contenders like Kevin Hall, Andrew Booth, Troy Pride Jr., and Zion Childress are hardly locks at this point. If Ojemudia can make a quick impression, already having a little history with the key coaches, then who knows, end quote. Which is true. It's honestly a question of how he is able to produce in not only this final preseason game against the Falcons this Friday, which hopefully will be live source. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and join us for our live game stream. It'll be about 6 o'clock Central Time. So make sure you hit us up here on Cowboys Digest. But it's going to be about his play there, his training camp, and what exactly they see from him in these few practices they're going to get, and from that, it all depends on injuries and somewhat other players. Ojemudia can have a lot of good things go his way, but in a position like he is in, he has a lot of good intangibles. There is people who believe that he should be on an NFL roster, and we saw that. The question is if it happens. And that's where I ask your opinion down in the comment section. Is Ojemudia even going to make a roster spot? Personally, if you ask me, I think he makes the practice squad. I think he does. I think if he performs well, and you're having 2 guys on the injured list, yeah, why not? I mean, he could be doing a very good thing, and in that aspect, you could easily go to a perfect spot. So that's kind of what we're looking at for really a multitude of different things for the Cowboys, but as of right now, we kind of sit, we wait, and see whether or not he is impacted in the 53-man roster, and we will check that on in just a little bit. We appreciate you. We'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest.